I just wanted to start off. I know before the show, you pointed out that we don't have a great representation behind me of water polo, but I brought even something more special. The first one I've carried on one of these podcasts. This is an overseas trip, obviously. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
I love it, Joel. I'm seeing the detail. You know, you've got the signatures of everybody around the frame there too. That's an authentic thing that you've brought for us, authentic prop. Yeah, that photo, that was the summer between my junior and senior year at Bucknell. We did, I believe it was the inaugural European trip as a team, and so the whole team went over to Hungary, and we did 2 weeks of a training trip over there. A couple of coaches, Todd Newcomb, came with us, and it was an incredible experience. We spent 2 weeks over there playing against local Hungarian teams, and they beat up on us a little bit, but we bonded, had some fun. I think that photo was after a game. We were exploring downtown Budapest.
Then Now Forever Ray explores a wide array of topics surrounding Bucknell athletics and the lives of Bucknellians near and far, with live interviews hosted by Senior Associate Athletic Director Joel Moersch. Then Now Forever Ray highlights the university's proud tradition of excellence in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in life after graduation.
All right, Jason, how's it going today? Thanks for joining the show. What's going on in Chicago?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joel. We're in the midst of a rainy day here in Chicago, which is welcome in the midst of the summer we've been having. So I'm happy to be on a podcast in the midst of it.
So are you raising the family to be Cubs fans, White Sox? Who are you going for out there?
You know, I am an adopted Chicago sports fan. Although I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and so my first sports love was the Ohio State Buckeyes, and so they are above all else being raised to be Buckeye fans before we get into Cubs and Hawks and all that here.
Nice, nice. Well, definitely a lot of stuff happening in college athletics at the Power Five level. Obviously, in the Big Ten with your Buckeyes. Maybe we'll hit on a little bit of that later. I just wanted to start off. I know before the show, you pointed out that we don't have a great representation behind me of water polo, but I brought even something more special. The first one I've carried on one of these podcasts. This is an overseas trip, obviously. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
I love it, Joel. I'm seeing the detail. You know, you've got the signatures of everybody around the frame there too. That's an authentic thing that you've brought for us, authentic prop. Yeah, that photo, that was the summer between my junior and senior year at Bucknell. We did, I believe it was the inaugural European trip as a team, and so the whole team went over to Hungary, and we did 2 weeks of a training trip over there. A couple of coaches, Todd Newcomb, came with us, and it was an incredible experience. We spent 2 weeks over there playing against local Hungarian teams, and they beat up on us a little bit, but we bonded, had some fun. I think that photo was after a game. We were exploring downtown Budapest.
So what is that international trip like? I've never explored anything like that or had the opportunity to. So many student athletes at Bucknell do get that experience at least once in their 4 years that they're here. How much did that mean to you to be able to do that? And also, going forward, I know you're a supporter of the program, being able to provide that opportunity for future Bison. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, it's incredible for a lot of reasons, right? I think from a personal perspective, it's great to be able to go out and explore a couple of different cultures. It opens your eyes. Regardless of where you grew up, presumably if it's in the United States, you're there in central Pennsylvania, and to take yourself outside of central PA and go explore a totally different culture, as a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid is an incredible experience. And then at the team level, to be able to spend 2 weeks with your teammates, with your friends, incredible for chemistry, camaraderie as a group. I mean, we started the summer after that trip, we started the season as strong as we ever had in my 4 years because we were all on the same page, right? We'd gone overseas together. And then, I think even from a brand perspective, to be able to go spend 2 weeks there as ambassadors for the Bucknell brand, for the Bucknell water polo program, that trip for us, I know looking back, now it's been 15 years, but we started to build the recruiting muscle in that area of the world, and I know we've attracted and recruited some amazing players from that region of the world since then. And so to think that we played a small part in building the brand and be able to attract some of those really really awesome kids to Bucknell, makes the experience really worthwhile for everyone involved.
So is that your favorite memory when you look back on your experience as a student athlete at Bucknell? I know there's a number of alumni in the Chicagoland area. I imagine you stay connected with guys even beyond that area. Is that what you talk about when you come together, or is it something that was actually formed here on campus?
Yeah, that's a great question, Joel. So the Hungary trip, for sure, there's a lot of great memories there, a lot of late nights there. For me, the other really cool thing that we did was we'd always have a preseason, on campus, but we always did a preseason. The Bucknell water polo team did, and we'd go. I think my freshman year we actually did that preseason in Hawaii, but we typically would do it in California, and we'd just stay at the captains' houses. The older guys on the team would host everyone, and so you got a chance to see, where guys came from. We were typically playing some polo, doing some swimming at like local high schools, and again, just a chance to spend time together. Shake off some of the summer rust and get together. But for me, my favorite memory actually was a game we had on campus. We typically wouldn't play Friday night games, but for some reason we were hosting Princeton on a Friday night on campus, and all of the guys, we got all of our fraternities to come out. You can imagine they had a few sodas before the game to get riled up. Everybody's family was in town, and the stands, the water polo team doesn't draw the audience that the basketball team did, but the stands were packed. And that game against Princeton ended up going into overtime. We won by 1 goal in overtime. And it was just one of those games that went back and forth. The crowd was in it. All of the guys were in it. And to come out on top in a game like that, like I'll never forget all of those goals. We could relive it goal by goal right now, 15 years later. And for me, that was the best moment.
That's awesome. So the photo that I showed earlier, that was actually from Todd Newcomb. He said to show that to you, and he also mentioned to ask you about playing for the Johns. So what's that about, and how was it playing for the Johns?
Yeah, so John Ziegler, John Abdu, my two coaches back in the day, they were incredible. I mean, John Ziegler is kind of a lifetime Bucknell guy. He was an incredible ambassador for the program, and he really, I think, laid the foundation for the program to be what it is today. He was for sure a player's coach. He wanted to establish great relationships with the guys. I mean, John Ziegler ended up coming to my wedding many years later. We had a great relationship. John Abdu, he now is involved with the national team and USA water polo. He was an incredible technician of the sport. He knows the sport inside and out. He was an incredible motivator and tactical leader, and so the complement of those two guys was awesome. And they were there for us. They supported us every step of the way, and to have those guys and Todd, as part of that journey overseas was great. And I think that set us all up for success for a lot of years. And after, so I felt lucky in some sense in that John Ziegler actually retired with my senior class, and John Abdu took over the program thereafter. So you had two guys. It was kind of the end of one era, the beginning of the next, and to be part of that was great.
John Ziegler actually, unfortunately, moved on from working in advancement at Bucknell. His last week, I believe, was my first week, so we had a little bit of crossover. So it was wonderful to get to meet him. Something I noticed, he was back for the last reunion, and I caught him one of the mornings, and he was in here working out in Soika. And it's crazy how much all of you swimmers and water polo athletes, how long you swim and what you can do in the water. I don't know how many miles he was doing that morning. When I go in the water, it's more survival. But I do come from a family of swimmers. But I wanted to talk about that work ethic and being a water polo student athlete. What if any, part of that work ethic has continued with you throughout your career?
Yeah, it's a great question, Joel. I mean, I look back sometimes and think that I was, something was unhinged in my mind, right? Like we were crazy. We worked out a crazy amount. And that attitude, that work ethic inherently sticks with you, right? Regardless of what you're doing. I mean, I think back, we talked earlier about the preseason and the preseason. That used to be like three-hour practices a day, right? And you'd have a 3-hour swim session, a 3-hour conditioning session, and a 3-hour polo session. And like I've never slept better in my life after those things, right? But then you get into the regular season and you're doing 2-a-days and you're doing film and you're doing weights and all that stuff, right? And it's just constant. It's a constant grind to maintain your body, to maintain your mind, to be able to hopefully perfect the craft. And when I think about everything that I've done since, it starts with first it starts with motivation, right? Like, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? And then there's a discipline that is instilled in you to be able to stick to schedules, to be able to get guys on the same page, to be able to motivate a team or a group of people to accomplish something together. And all those things matter, right, as you advance in the world, regardless of what you're doing. And for me, it goes back, to high school and college water polo, and that was what instilled a lot of these things in me.
Oh, that's great. Switching gears a little bit, you're working for Sprout Social. I know you're doing a lot of big things there. We're following you from afar, and we appreciate all the support you've given to our athletic department. I know we utilize Sprout Social a little bit, but for the listeners and the viewers out there that aren't familiar with it, can you talk a little bit about what Sprout Social is and what your role is there?
Totally, yeah. So Sprout Social, and it's awesome that Bucknell is using the software.
Yeah.
We're a social media management company, and so we are the software that businesses, large, small, universities, higher education folks utilize to manage their social media presence and to extract data and insight from all of the social data, people data that exists on social today, right? So you might run your publishing campaigns, you might converse with customers, you might listen for product trends or employment trends or market trends to help point your company in the right direction. And so, we've got 30,000 customers. We're growing pretty quickly, but I joined Sprout right around the company went public in late 2019. I joined right around the time of the IPO. To lead investor relations and corporate development for us. And so I help manage everything that we do, with Wall Street and with our investors and analysts. And then I help execute our M&A strategy as well. It's a pretty cool role for me. I had, for the first, 12 or so years of my career, I'd worked on Wall Street. And so this is kind of coming in-house a little bit, right, and helping the company execute its strategy from the other side of the wall.
That's awesome. No, I was actually going to ask about that. Leaving Bucknell, was that the plan to get into something that you're doing now, or what kind of twists happened along the way? But I appreciate you kind of filling us in on where you've been and what you're doing. One question that I wanted to circle back on, I know we were talking about Ohio State and where college athletics is going now. From your standpoint at Sprout, you probably see all the different athletic departments doing all these various posts that they do. Fortunately, we have a marketing guru, Mike Coleman. He's behind the scenes on all these podcasts. Fortunately, he knows what he's doing because it's crazy where the industry is going and how it's evolving. But what if any advice would you give to an athletic department such as Bucknell on kind of how to stay ahead, or at least how to keep pace with that evolving industry?
Yeah, it's a good question, Joel. I mean, I think when you think about athletics and you think about social media, right? It's all about engagement, and ultimately, the athletic department is as great as its athletes, right? And so you have to attract high performing athletes who are also high performing people and high performing students, and you have to engage with them through their journey at Bucknell. You have to hopefully engage with them after their journey at Bucknell, right? And so in order to execute all of that, it's all about engagement throughout that athletic journey, right? And so part of that engagement journey now is social media, right? I mean, it's where kids are, it's how kids choose to spend their time. It's how they look, they look for content on social. They choose to interact with content on social and other places. And so, the best athletic departments are putting out awesome content that resonates with their audience, whether that be potential student athletes, current student athletes, or old guys like myself with hips that are falling apart. And so it's what is the content that is going to resonate, that is authentic to who you are as an organization, right? I mean, I look at all the stuff behind you, Joel. Like that's Bucknell Athletics, right? It's representative of what we are and who we are. And that's awesome. That makes people want to attend Bucknell. That makes people want to perform well for the school, and to stay engaged, after we're done.
So I got to ask, there's a water polo student athlete alum getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that's Mark, of course. Are the guys planning on coming back together to celebrate over homecoming, or have you been in touch with any of them?
So I've seen some of those communications. I am TBD on that homecoming. We haven't got into it, but I have 3 kids under the age of 3, or age 3 and under.
Okay.
So I've got my hands full on the home front here. But I do hope to get back for that homecoming. Mark is just an exceptional person. Was obviously an exceptional water polo player. He also is an exceptional person. I mean, when I was at Bucknell, I had reached out for career planning, career advice, what to do after Bucknell type advice. And he, was receptive to my probably annoying overtures at every turn. We've played in a few tournaments, a few events along the way now in the years since, and just an awesome guy. I couldn't be happier. He's the exact person that you want in the Bucknell Athletics Hall of Fame. So I'm pretty stoked for him to be there.
So 3 kids under 3. I know the feeling. I only have 2 under 4. You're looking great for having such a busy, I'm sure, and young family. I look forward to meeting you in person. We're cheering for you career-wise. You're doing a great job, and we're proud of everything you're accomplishing, and really appreciate having you on the show.
Yeah, well, thanks, Joel. It must be the Zoom filter that's filtering out the circles under my eyes on account of kids. But no, I appreciate you having me on the show. It's been great to connect, and I'm sure we'll cross paths soon.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much, Jason.